was thinking as we were praying, I was thinking, of course, I probably should have been praying, but all this stuff is going through my mind, and I'm thinking, well, aren't we a bunch of losers? I thought, well, we don't like exercise. We don't like getting shot. Or we just got better things to do. We'd rather eat breakfast. So I just kind of thought that was funny. It's like, okay, God, focus me. Please, focus me this morning. You ever started a project that you just never finished? Yeah, it sounds familiar. All right, so my father-in-law, Harry, about a year ago, Mom, what are you laughing about? About a year ago, we started painting and working on his basement, and we went down there. We put all the drywall up, and Mom decided that she wanted me to do this certain way of painting this. Well, it requires you to use drywall paste and a textured finish and all of that. So I did all that. We put it all up, put the drywall stuff on there, and that was a year ago. Finally, was it 2 weeks ago? Yeah, 2 weeks ago. Mom says, please, would you please, for Mother's Day, get this thing painted down here. So I took off after, I don't remember what it was. Was it Friday or Saturday? Anyway, I showed up, met Dad over at the paint store. We picked up paint. We did all that stuff. Got out there and started painting, and got probably 50% of it done. Then he said, I can do it. No problem. I'll do, you just show me how to do this. So I did the painting stuff, and I went down one wall and then up the stairway and got all that done. And I said, okay, you got it? Well, Mom comes in on Monday morning. She says, I think Dad's getting too old to do this stuff. He said, because you got to put this stuff on there, and then you just got. It's like you got to beat it down. It's like knockdown. So it's like, I said, well, how did it turn out? Because I haven't been back. I think you need to come over and finish working on this. So I told Dad, all right, I'm getting up here and talk about not finishing something. I'll be over there Wednesday. We'll get this thing done. So now, in front of all these guys, there you go, I'm committed. But you know, I think so much of our life is like that. We start things. When I built my house, if you'd come over for 5 years, if you'd come over to my house, it would have looked like I built a helicopter pad. All right, right out in the middle of the yard, there's been this big round concrete pad, and it's been sitting there for 5 years. And my intention has always been to put a gazebo on it. Yeah, I know. Well, yeah, or a helicopter pad. I don't know. I was thinking about putting lights on it and just getting one of those little portable helicopters. But it took me 5 years to finally get to that place where I actually completed something. And I find that the more I do that, the more I look at my life, I've got so many things that are not finished. So many things that I started off excited, zealous about, and then just lost the desire. So Steve's going to come up today and talk about what that looks like in his life.
Hey, thanks. Good morning. You know, when I think about what he said in those projects, hey Hugh, good morning. Started, you know, I'd like to take that picture. Hey, Bob. Good morning, Bob.
Hey, Bob.
How you doing? Okay, you guys got that picture, that project that you might not have finished, you know, and what's the reason? Why don't we finish this stuff? Is it we lose interest? Maybe it's too much work, we're out of time, you know, or it's taking too much of our time. Well, what if something we gave up on was a relationship? Okay, something in our past. And why? Why did we give up on that? Did we lose interest in it? Was it too much trouble? Did it take too much of our time? And see, where this journey started for me was a number of weeks back when Steve was talking about reconciliation. And who is it in our life, you know, that a relationship in our life? And for me, it was my brother. And what brought that to light, I guess, was his birthday just passed. He became 47 years old. And we've not been a part of each other's lives for the last 30 years. As a matter of fact, the last time we had any kind of relationship man, it's been over 30 years when we both lived in the same house. But that was just by, you know, proximity. That was what the base of our relationship was. I used to say there were 4 people that lived in my house that happened to have the same last name, and that was it. See, the love part, that wasn't expressed. We didn't see it between our parents. You didn't hear, you know, my dad say to my mom, I love you. They didn't express it to us, and we certainly didn't express it to each other. And, man, and I thought about this as I was bringing that up in my life. It's like, you know, somewhere along the line, I just said it wasn't worth the trouble. He wasn't worth my trouble. And I just kind of moved on, you know. And then Stephen, of course, brings these things up, and it was at that moment the last thing I wanted to hear. But the reason it was is because I hadn't dealt with it. And so I had made a commitment at the table I was sitting at that my brother's birthday was coming up, and I was going to write him a letter. And I'm going to share that letter with you guys in a little bit. And so the process comes up, and then, you know, Stephen says, hey, I'd like you to speak, so what's going on in your life? And this is it right here. And so as I was sitting at home trying to think about this and kind of writing it out in my mind and some notes and places I wanted to go in relationships, right? And this relationship with my brother and how I just kind of blew him off, and maybe we just grew up and we just kind of went our own separate ways, and, you know, life just went by, and that's just the way it went. And God really spoke to my heart and took me to this place. And it went like this. What if there was a moment in time when my brother was reaching out to me? Okay? When he was a little kid, when I was a little kid. Maybe when he was 5 or 6 or 7 and I was 10, 11, 12. And he was trying to hang out with me. And I was with my friends and I'd ditch him. Or he wanted to play a game with me and I would blow him off. And, you know, he wanted to hang out with his big brother and I just turned away from him. You know? Maybe if I had stopped, I could have understood that he was in pain. Maybe at the time I was dealing with my own stuff. Maybe if I'd stopped and looked in his eyes, I would have seen that he was hurting. Maybe if I'd stopped to listen, I would have heard him crying himself to sleep at night. That really hurt me, you know? Because if there was that moment in time, there was another moment in time. There was a moment he stopped trying to get my attention, that he had given up. And that hope was gone for him. And that hope turned into hate because he does not like me. And he is now 47 years old, and I don't know anything about his life. I know he's got 2 kids. I know their names. It's Ryan and Jesse. I couldn't pick them out in a crowd. I know he lives in Maryland, but I couldn't drive to his house. And it's like, man. So for me and for all of us, we've got to take, okay, what's that picture look like to God? Where does God go with these kind of things? And he does go there. There's a story in the Old Testament. It's about Esau and Jacob. And just to give you a little background,